I'm hearing Shedeur is not even running scout team. He's literally watching everyone play. Bailey Zappi's running scout team. I don't know if that's true. That's what I'm hearing. Why is he on the team?
My guess is they go 0-4. Maybe they go 1-3. Haslam's going to come down on Sunday, October 5th. And he says, I want Shedeur to play against Minnesota. And the staff's going to say, we're in London.
Yeah. Good to see you. Oh, we got we got to do some trading. Dion, she's mine. Hey,
What if one of the most hyped rookie quarterbacks in years is being quietly benched on purpose? Shador Sanders, son of primetime himself, exploded onto the national stage with swagger, stats, and spotlight. But now, whispers are swirling, reports are leaking, and the narrative has flipped. He's not playing, not developing, and maybe not even wanted. Despite being drafted into the NFL with more headlines than some starters, Shedeur is already buried on the Browns' depth chart, not as a backup, but as a third-string afterthought. And while that might sound normal for a rookie, the situation brewing in Cleveland feels anything but normal. Because when you connect the dots, the mysterious lack of reps, the media smoke signs, the booming jersey sales, the forced silence from coaches, and oh yeah, the unmatched track record of total quarterback failure in Cleveland, it starts to feel like this isn't about development. This might be sabotage.
You trade Shador Sanders. You clearly are not sold on him right now. You're not sold on the progress that he's making, even though you're saying, hey, we're happy with where he's at.
I'm going to be livid if it goes down, by the way.
Some are calling it a team mismanaging talent. Others are calling it a business decision dressed up as player development. But more and more voices, including NFL insiders and former players, are saying what fans are thinking. This doesn't feel right. So what's really going on with Shador Sanders and the Cleveland Browns? Stay locked in, because the deeper we go down this rabbit hole, the more it starts to look like the Browns didn't just mess up another roster move. They may be killing Shedur's career before it even starts. So here's where things stop adding up. Multiple reports, yes, unconfirmed but persistent, are saying that Shedeur Sanders isn't even running scout team reps. Not practice squad drills, not backup unit walkthroughs, nothing. Instead, Bailey Zappi is taking those snaps. A journeyman QB brought in with zero long-term plans. And if that's true, that's not just strange, it's alarming.
Shedeur, we talk oftentimes about quarterback being the most important position in the sport. We obviously spent a lot of time with Shedeur throughout the process. He's highly accurate, can play well from the pocket, very productive college career. And
because for context, scout team reps are where project QBs get a chance to learn the NFL speed. It's the sandbox for rookies, a place to mess up, improve, repeat, while getting comfortable with pro playbooks. For a team to not even let their rookie QB3 take those reps, that's not how development works. So again, the real question becomes, why draft him? Only to have him watch from the sidelines like a clipboard intern with no future on the roster. Is this some kind of quiet punishment? Is there pressure to downplay him behind the scenes? Or worse, have the Browns already made up their minds? Because if Bailey Zappi is getting those reps over Shedeur, it's not because Zappi is the future. Teams don't run their long-term strategy through temporary patches. They either develop talent or they don't believe in it.
Haslam's going to come down on Sunday, October 5th. And he says, I want Shedeur to play against Minnesota.
I'll keep saying it. I believe Shador Sanders should play more games than any other quarterback on this roster this year, because he's the only guy that I look at and say they might have something here.
This isn't normal. This isn't about earning it. This feels like intentional placement. Like someone behind the scenes has already decided exactly how far Shedeur can go. And it's not very far. And if the team isn't investing development time into their own draft pick, then what exactly is his role? Whatever it is, it doesn't seem to be about football. But if it's not about the game, then what's keeping him on the roster? Let's talk money. If Shador Sanders isn't playing, and he's not even practicing, then why is he still on the roster? Let's not pretend football is the only business being run on an NFL field. Because while Shedeur might be QB3 in Cleveland, he's top 5 league-wide in one important stat: jersey sales. That's right, a rookie QB who hasn't taken a real snap is outselling stars, more than starters, more than award winners. Only 4 players in the entire NFL are ahead of him. That's not just hype, that's revenue.
On our thoughts, and it's hard. Listen, when you lose football games, that's what happens. You're going to have plays that you look back on and think about. And, those guys, they played a really strong game for us today. Like I said, I think when you look at this film, you're going to see a lot of guys that did a lot of really good things. We just had some names that really, really did us.
And when you look at it like that, keeping him benched makes a certain kind of cold corporate sense. Why risk hurting a marketing asset? Why let him take hits if his value is higher sitting pretty, fresh-faced, and photogenic on the sideline? Let the fans keep dreaming while the team keeps cashing in. But here's the catch. This isn't college. It's not NIL. This is the NFL. And using a rookie's brand to sell tickets, clicks, and jerseys while silently burying his career? That's not just shady. It's strategic. Think about it. He has the name. He has the spotlight. He has one of the biggest followings from the college game. Fans tune in just to see if he gets a snap. That curiosity, that suspense, it sells. And the Browns seem perfectly happy to let it drag out. Because every week that passes without him playing, the curiosity grows stronger. So maybe Shedeur isn't here to throw passes. Maybe he's here to move product. And if that's the case, then football isn't the strategy. It's just the stage. But there's a problem with turning a quarterback into a brand. Eventually, that brand starts asking questions. Or demanding a trade. And that's where this gets even more complicated. The whispers haven't just stayed in the locker room. They've made their way to the media. And from the media, straight into the spotlight. Enter trade rumors. Loud ones, persistent ones. And at this point, almost strategic sounding. Respected voices in the sports world, people like Uncle Luke, yes, that Uncle Luke, are putting it out there publicly. The Browns aren't the right fit for Shedeur. So send him to Miami. Pair him with an explosive offense, a creative system, and let him develop behind a proven starter. Sounds familiar, right? That was the blueprint every Shedeur supporter wanted pre-draft. A proven team, a smart quarterback room, and patience. Instead, they got Cleveland. There. Trade rumors aren't usually this loud this early unless people want them to be. So let's ask the real question. Who's feeding this storyline? Because it's not just fans on Reddit or wishful thinkers on social media. These takes are coming from plugged-in voices, insiders, and even former players. And here's what's even more interesting. Every time someone like Tony Rizzo comments on Shedeur, it's never neutral. The tone is calculated. It sounds like messaging, like clearing the runway for a decision that has already been made quietly. Getting the audience warmed up for a "he never fit here anyway" headline. So maybe this isn't just gossip. Maybe the narrative is already in motion, not to build Shedeur up, but to push him out. And if that's what's happening, we need to ask the uncomfortable question no Browns fan wants to hear. Is Cleveland just doing what Cleveland always does? Setting up another quarterback to fail because history says? That wouldn't be anything new. If Shador Sanders never plays a snap in Cleveland, it won't be the first time a promising quarterback disappeared in that uniform. In fact, it would be tradition. Because the Browns don't just have a quarterback problem, they have a quarterback graveyard. Since 1999, the team has rolled out over 30 different starting QBs. That's not rebuilding. That's spinning in circles. Some were first-round picks. Some were Heisman winners. Some were next-up projects. And almost all of them, gone. Lost in the system. Burned out, forced out, or forgotten. Names like Brady Quinn, Johnny Manziel, Deshaun Kaiser, Colt McCoy, Brandon Weeden, Tim Couch, and Baker Mayfield all walked into Cleveland with hype, and all walked out with their careers in pieces. Even Deshaun Watson, for all the money thrown at him, hasn't been able to stabilize the chaos. This franchise doesn't just miss on quarterbacks, it eats them alive, and that's what makes the Shedeur situation feel so familiar. Buried in the depth chart, minimal reps, shifting public narratives. The fans start blaming him before he even sees the field. The playbook doesn't even matter at that point. The history does. Because when you're drafted to Cleveland as a quarterback, it's not about competing. It's about surviving. And let's be real. If you had to bet on who's more likely to make the wrong decision, Shador Sanders or the team that's had 4 winning seasons in 25 years. Who are you choosing? That's the weight of the jersey. Not the legacy it holds, but the one it destroys. And if that seems dramatic, just wait. Because their current leadership isn't changing that story. They're just repeating it. If losing quarterbacks is a Browns tradition, then not committing to any of them might be the house style. At the center of it all, head coach Kevin Stefanski. A man who's mastered the art of saying nothing, and somehow saying it every week. Whenever questions about Shador Sanders arise, the response is vague. He's part of the development plan. We're focused on the team. We like our quarterback room. You hear the same empty phrases over and over, but never once a clear answer. No direct statement about his progress. No public support. Not even a timeline. It's the kind of coaching philosophy that tells you everything without saying anything. He's not part of the plan. And what's worse? Stefanski has history with this kind of QB roulette. He shuffled through multiple quarterbacks in Cleveland, rarely sticking with one, and rarely producing results that justify the moves. From veterans to rookies, backups to projects, nobody gets consistent backing, and everyone's on borrowed time. Now combine that with what we're seeing, Shedeur not getting reps, being left off scout teams, and getting zero public support. Add in another rookie, Dillon Gabriel, quietly getting more visibility. And suddenly, the development project sounds a lot more like hidden competition. Are they grooming Gabriel to be the future while distracting fans with Sanders' celebrity? Or has a silent decision already been made and Stefanski just doesn't want to say it out loud? Because let's be honest, if the coach really planned to develop Shador Sanders, we'd be seeing it, or at least hearing about it. Instead, we're watching the same old Browns pattern play out in real time. And as always with this franchise, the problem isn't just on the field. It's in the front office too. If you want to understand why the Browns are mishandling Shador Sanders, you need to follow the money. Because the elephant in the quarterback room isn't Shedeur, it's Deshaun Watson. And the $230 million fully guaranteed contract that changed the NFL forever. For all the wrong reasons. Let's break this down. The Browns didn't just sign a talented but controversial quarterback. They handed him the largest fully guaranteed deal in league history. Despite the fact that he hadn't thrown a pass in over a year and was facing over 24 lawsuits. Whether you believe he's innocent or not, that decision wasn't about ethics. It was about arrogance. It was Cleveland betting the franchise on Watson returning to form and covering their ears to everything else. But here's the problem. That bet isn't paying off. Not on the field, not off the field. And now the Browns are stuck. They have to make it work with Deshaun Watson. They're handcuffed to him, financially and reputationally, which leaves rookies like Shedeur in an impossible position. You can't develop a young QB while protecting egos and contracts. You can't give real opportunities when one guy gets every snap. Because he has to, or else the front office looks foolish. So what's the backup plan? There isn't one. There can't be. Because acknowledging a future for Shedeur means admitting they made a mistake with Deshaun. So instead, the Browns keep the media narrative muddy. They call it development. They call it patience. But really, it's silence. Silence to protect their investment. Silence to protect their pride. And if you're wondering how far they'll go to hide that mistake, just look at how far they're willing to push Shedeur aside. The Browns are shaping the conversation without ever saying a word. Because when local media starts planting the same talking points over and over, pay attention. That's not chaos. That's coordination. Take Tony Rizzo, for example, a respected Cleveland voice plugged in with team sources. Lately, whenever he talks about Shedeur, it's never neutral. There's always a tone of dismissal, a quiet undercurrent of he's not serious or he doesn't belong. And guess what? That's exactly how you soft launch a narrative. No official press conferences, no statements from Stefanski, just the slow drip of opinions from media figures that somehow all lead in the same direction. Shedeur doesn't fit here. It's subtle but powerful. Call it what you want: damage control, gaslighting, or distraction. But this is how organizations shape fan perception without taking responsibility. Let the media carry the message, so the front office doesn't have to. Even the trade rumors that surfaced didn't pop up out of nowhere. They came from strategically placed tweets, podcasts, and talking heads with known access. It's the same move you see before big roster shifts. Lay the foundation early so when the decision happens, nobody's shocked. What they're doing isn't new. It just rarely happens this publicly. And here's the scariest part. Fans are starting to repeat those same lines. He's just hype. He's not ready. He's only here because of his last name. That's not organic. That's messaging working as designed. So now, we have to ask the bigger question. Is this really about quarterback play or reputation management? Is the Browns' real goal to protect their own image by sacrificing a rookie before he ever gets a chance? Because if so, this isn't just mishandling, it's manipulation. At this point, there are two sides, and they're moving in opposite directions. On one hand, you've got what critics call the Shedeur cult. Fans, followers, and longtime believers who've been watching him since Jackson State, who followed the Sanders brand from Colorado to the NFL, and who still think he could be the guy if given even half a chance. On the other side, frustrated Browns loyalists who are tired of the attention, tired of the headlines, and frankly, tired of hearing Shedeur's name when he hasn't played a single down. For them, this isn't about flashes of potential. It's about the optics, the noise, the outsiders. And that noise, to them, feels like a distraction from whatever fragile plan the Browns claim to have. So now, you've got fan bases within the same franchise at war. One group wants Shedeur off the team entirely. The other wants him traded to a better opportunity or elevated before his value disappears. And caught in the middle is a 22-year-old rookie QB who hasn't been given enough reps to prove either side right or wrong. That's the collapse. This isn't just disagreement. This is systemic dysfunction playing out in real time. And this pattern, it's vintage Cleveland. A rookie with star potential, crushed between a franchise unsure of its own future and a fan base exhausted from hoping. The irony? If Shador Sanders was on any other team, even as a backup, people might be fine with the slow roll. Patience would make sense. But in Cleveland, there's no confidence. No earned trust. Not after decades of this. So while fans fight about the QB, the real battle is whether this franchise can be trusted at all. Spoiler alert, that trust is already gone. So let's go back to the beginning. What if one of the most talked about rookie quarterbacks of the year is being benched on purpose? We're not talking about a kid who bombed preseason, not someone who flamed out with off-field drama. Shador Sanders came into the league with real momentum, a proven college resume, a winning mentality, and a fan base that moved with him. And yet, just months into his NFL journey, he's already adrift. No reps, no plan, no answers. And Cleveland is playing the same tune they've been fumbling through for over 2 decades. Because this isn't just about Shedeur. It's about everything the Browns continue to get wrong. The mismanagement of quarterbacks, the media manipulation, the leadership vacuum, the failure to develop talent, and the toxic cycle that chews up potential and spits out headlines. So now we ask, is Shedeur being kept for clout? Protected like a product, but treated like a placeholder? Silenced to protect bigger contracts and deeper mistakes?